Hello, this is Blanca with Your Health is Your Greatest Wealth, and I am here to help educate and share research and knowledge about all things health, holistic, and alternative modalities of healing. I'm very excited to introduce our guest today, Barry Bevier, and let me tell you a little bit about Barry. He was raised on a family farm near Ann Arbor, Michigan. After completing his master's degree in civil engineering at the University of Michigan, he pursued a career in engineering. In 2000, he married the love of his life, Linda. They shared a beautiful life together for 10 years until she succumbed to the effects of lupus and 20 years of treatment with prescription medications. He followed what he thought was a healthy lifestyle, yet really was not. As a result of that realization, he has educated himself in alternative natural modalities of wellness and became a licensed brain health trainer through Almond Clinics. He also works with a new technology in stem cell nutrition supplementation that releases your own stem cells. In 2021, he was invited to be a contributing author in a 13-book series based on Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, entitled The 13 Steps of Riches. With that, Barry, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what we will be discussing today.
Oh, Blanca, thank you very much. Actually, you've covered the highlights of my life. Yeah. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we met, and I'm able to be part of your program.
Thank you. So Barry, there are several interesting things about you that I definitely want to ask you in the course of this chat today. But what specifically are we discussing today, just so that we can let our audience know what they're in for?
Well, I think our focus is going to be on stem cells.
Okay,
And
great.
that's one thing that I've become very passionate about. I've been involved with stem cells and stem cell nutritions for 11 years now. And I think stem cells are the wave of the future. They're here now, but they're the wave of the future in regenerative medicine and overall wellness. And I'm glad to have learned what I do about it and be able to share the message to help other people.
Great. So, Barry, just to start from educating our audience who want to know, what are stem cells?
Okay, that's a fair question. Stem cells are a type of undifferentiated cell in our body. They're made and held in the bone marrow. So we have skin cells, we have cells for our eyes, our heart, our liver, our kidneys, our brain, our bones, all are made up of cells, but they are specific to that organ or tissue. Stem cells are undifferentiated. They have the ability to turn into in general, and there's different types of stem cells, and we won't get into the details today. They have the ability to turn into any type of tissue or organ in our body that needs rejuvenation or repair. So they're kind of a template. They're kind of, some people refer to them as a mother cell.
Okay, great. And you know, the image I had as you were describing it is they're kind of chameleon cells.
That's not a bad analogy.
They kind of become what are needed in the environment they're in. Okay, so you did cover a little bit or a lot actually about what stem cells are. Why are they important? And take us through your process of how you educate people about stem cells and what it is you're doing today.
Okay, well, a late, very good friend of mine, Dr. Alan Summersall, he was a doctor in Canada that unfortunately passed away suddenly a few years ago. But he had a mantra, and I love it because it's everybody has stem cells, everybody needs stem cells, everybody uses stem cells, everybody uses stem cells every day. They work, and they work every time. And so I think most people know that tissues and organs, the cells in tissues and organs die. They start to malfunction, they die, and for us to be alive, they need to be replaced. And our body has that mechanism already built in. We were designed that way. And stem cells are that mechanism. So stem cells are made and held in our bone marrow. And when a tissue just from normal, a tissue or organ just from normal wear and tear needs stem cells, or it's been injured through an accident, or it gets diseased, like a heart attack or something, those tissues send signals to the bone marrow, or I guess to the brain, and the brain sends it to the bone marrow. The brain's involved here. The bone marrow releases stem cells into the bloodstream. They go to that tissue and organ, they transform into that cell type, and then they multiply to heal that organ and provide new tissues for that organ. And that happens every day, whether or not there's been a catastrophic problem, an accident or a disease. Those stem cells are just flowing through our body on a daily basis for repair. And then when there's some higher need, more are released into the bloodstream.
So Barry, I find a lot about what you said fascinating, and I will circle back to something that you said about the brain, because I know that is one of your specializations. Right now, I want to delve into the therapy of stem cells, why there is so much like just exciting news out there, and just take me a little bit through the history of stem cell research and what it's doing for people's health.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to share that. What we know about stem cells today has been the research and discoveries have been going on for probably about 100 years now. It was in the early 1900s that the medical profession realized that blood cells were made from stem cells. And for a long time, that's all they thought were the cell types that were regenerated from the bone marrow is blood cells. And then in the 1980s or so, it was kind of controversial where medical researchers were using stem cells from embryos in research and development for rejuvenative medicine. And that the whole picture has changed. That no longer exists. I don't think any of that's being done anymore. I don't know if it's been outlawed or not, but using cells from aborted babies or fetuses is not used anymore in the mainstream. So there are different ways, though, of getting stem cells, and so the research has been done in the late 1990s. A team of scientists discovered that people who were eating certain foods were healthier and living longer, and that's probably some of what's going on in what we hear about the blue zones today. So they did some research, and in specifically, they found that people that were healthier and living longer and not getting some of the diseases that a lot of people get as you get older were consuming spirulina. So they started looking into algae and plant-based materials and discovered that blue-green algae from Klamath Lake was one of those plants that helped your bone marrow release more stem cells. And so the science of developing what I'm involved with stem cell nutrition really started over 20 years ago. And it's grown and developed since then. More recently, we hear about stem cell therapy and getting injections of stem cells. And there's, as I know it, there's two ways to do that. There's using your own stem cells, and there's using stem cells from other people. With your own stem cells, that's a process that, to my knowledge, has not been legalized in the US. The Food and Drug Administration has not approved it. So people go outside of the country, They go to a clinic. Doctors extract their own stem cells from bone marrow or other tissues. They process it in the lab, and then they re-inject them to areas of disease or injury. And a lot of this is done for joints, and it's also done for other diseases as well, where they inject the stem cells directly into the point. So if you've had a heart attack, they could inject stem cells into your heart. If you've got arthritis in your joints, they could inject them directly into your joints. So that's using your own stem cells. And then what's become more popular lately is to use stem cells from the umbilical cord or the amniotic fluid, and that is legalized in the US. So stem cells are obtained from those two sources. They're available through stem cell banks, stem cell clinics, where they do the therapy, get the stem cells, and then inject them into wherever you need them in your body.
Thank you for that, Barry. And I just wanted to add that I have known people that have had the stem cell injections, and from what they told me, they were very, very expensive. And so just to recap, a lot of the people I know have gone out of the country to get that stem cell therapy, and it's either through injection of their own stem cells, or also, as you mentioned, stem cells derived from umbilical cords. So, is that the type of stem cell therapy that you are focusing on yourself today?
No, my focus is on stem cell nutrition and lifestyle habits that improve the conditions that would damage your own stem cells or to enhance the release of your own stem cells. So I'm approaching it from more of a natural standpoint, where you don't have the expensive therapies or have to travel. And a lot of even if you get the therapies that are in the US, the clinics that do them aren't everywhere. You still may have to travel and have those additional expenses. And yes, my understanding is the therapies are pretty expensive. I know a couple people that work in the clinics, and they're typically several $1,000s. Many times they're necessary for repeated times. Tony Robbins wrote I think it was last year, he came out with a book called Life Force, and one of the chapters there discusses his experience with stem cells and stem cell therapy, like we've discussed, not stem cell nutrition. And he talks about it taking three sessions to get his pain in his body to diminish, and that he does it a couple times a year just for basic health and wellness maintenance. So the getting a stem cell therapy injection is not one time and you're done. One deal. I have an acquaintance that she's in her early 60s. She has rheumatoid arthritis in her hands, and she was looking into stem cell therapy for her hands here in the US with the umbilical cord stem cells. And she was told that she would need 3 to 4 therapy sessions per year to maintain it. And it was about $3,000 per session. So there's quite an expense there. It's not covered by insurance at this point in time. And so I think that a lot of people are limited from having the miracle of more stem cells in their body because of the expense.
Yeah. Thank you, Barry. And I just want to recap for our listeners here. So thank you for pointing out the difference between stem cell therapy, which are injections, and what we're talking about today is stem cell nutrition, which is supplementation. And I just want to make a full disclaimer. I met you, Barry, at a health and wellness event this last year, and I was very excited to have met you and have you come into my life because at the time when I met you, I was training for my bucket list marathon in Bordeaux, France, that I was going to run this September, which I in fact did run. And I had sustained several running injuries in the course of my training that were muscle tissue related. I had had them for months. I had tried many type of different healing modalities. It was not getting better. Actually, it was getting worse. What I actually had was piriformis syndrome, which was inflamed muscle tissue in addition to torn muscle tissue. And when I met you, you introduced me to this stem cell nutrition, and it made a whole difference for me in my marathon running experience. I'm not giving medical advice here. I am just relaying my personal experience with using the stem cell nutrition that I am so glad I was introduced to. So thank you for that, Barry.
You're welcome. And I'll give my disclaimer early as well. You've already told your listeners I have an engineering background. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a very inquisitive scientist that's very interested in wellness and helping others. And so everything I'm talking about today does not come from, a medical education background. I'm not a doctor and never will claim to be. The things that we're going to talk about today, if we do get anything specific, I would never recommend that anyone stops whatever their doctor is telling them to do, only to incorporate what I'm suggesting to see if it can make a change. And also, just from a standpoint of the nutritional supplements that I do offer, that I work with StemTech, these are nutritional supplements. They're not approved by the FDA, and we make no claims to healing or rejuvenation through our products. So
Thank you,
get
Barry.
that out, so it's taken
Thank
care of.
you.
No misconceptions here.
Yes, and thank you. And I know the alternative traditional injections also don't make that claim. So Barry, tell us a little bit more, educate us on how these stem cells work. You mentioned also Alan Summersall and his writings. So just educate us on stem cells.
Okay, well, we talked about stem cell therapy. I'd like to to talk about kind of three different aspects of getting more stem cells into your body. And actually, we talked about, since we all have stem cells already in our body, why are we talking about having more? So can I share my screen?
Absolutely.
All right. So do you see a chart now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So this is a diagram that demonstrates the kind of the lifespan of stem cells, or how stem cells occur in our bodies with age. So you can see on the left side, there's a tall blue bar that represents, billions of stem cells in a newborn baby. And within the first few years, that drops considerably to about 25%. So in your preteen years, the number of stem cells being released already drops off. And think of how quickly a newborn, a preteen, and teenagers, your 20s or so, how fast you grow, how fast you heal when you have an injury or get sick. And then as you look to the right in that chart, you see the bar decreases in height, representing less stem cells flowing, being released from your bone marrow and flowing in your blood. And think about, in your 30s and 40s, what happens? Well, you stop growing. You may start to notice some aging effects, some wrinkles, some dry skin, some gray hair. If you injure yourself, you don't heal quite as quickly. That's because you don't have as many stem cells to keep that rejuvenative process going in your body. And then when you get to the far right, that 50 to 90 range, well, that's the range I fall in. Well, that's kind of hopeless. as far as stem cells go without doing something else. And so that low blue bar represents about 5% of the stem cells flowing through your body in their preteen age, in that 1 to 12 group. So having less stem cells in our body, medical science has shown that less stem cells create less rejuvenation and lead to the aging process. So that explains the basic, like, why do we need more stem cells? Because stem cells are the rejuvenative process in our body. They regenerate us, they keep us going, they help us provide, have more energy. And so I think it's very important that as we get older, we do whatever we can with our lifestyle habits and supplementation to increase the number of stem cells in our body. So I like to say, have more life in our years. We may get more years to our life, but definitely more life in our years. So I started to say, I divide this into like 3 categories. So there's stem cell therapy, which we talked a little bit about. And then another category that I like to look at is non-invasive therapies. There's a lot of things that we can do in our life that can create more stem cells in our body. Exercise creates more stem cells in our body. Hyperbaric oxygen can create more stem cells flowing in our body. Working out on a vibratory plate, Power Plate is one of the brands that I've used, leads to more stem cells being released in our body. I haven't studied on it yet, but I understand that, like a cold plunge can cause more stem cells to be released from your body. So there's other things that can be done, but those are a few of the things that we can do. Yes, there may be an expense to them, but that we can do that while we're doing them, and for a short period afterwards, release more stem cells in our body. And then there's the nutrition factor, and we're going to talk a little bit about the StemTech products and the nutritional supplements that are available. But a lot of foods and herbs and spices increase the amount of stem cells in your body. Fatty fish, berries, leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, dark chocolate, high percentage of dark chocolate, 70, 80, 90%, that's low sugar. I said cruciferous vegetables, so that includes broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and kale. Avocado can increase. So those are foods that have a small, but when they all add up, could be significant addition to the amount of stem cells being released from your body. And then herbs like turmeric and ginger, cinnamon, garlic, rosemary, oregano, things that we use in cooking, or a lot of us use in cooking all the time, can also. So these are some things that you can do just in your daily habits that can increase your flow of stem cells into your body. And then the third one is specialized supplements like the stem cell nutrition that we both take now and deal with. And so those are nutritional supplements that have been researched and tested over time to have ingredients that have shown to release more stem cells. And we talk about blue-green algae. There's different varieties of mushrooms that have been used for hundreds of thousands of years, medicinal mushrooms that go into these blends, and certain types of aloe I mentioned the algae. So the scientists have gone, once they discovered this, they started looking globally to find other plant-based materials that release more stem cells.
That's great, Barry. And so take us there, since you mentioned StemTech and their supplements. Can you tell us a little bit more about the actual supplements themselves and how they work?
Okay, absolutely. So StemTech was founded in 2005. The research in the late 90s that I spoke of is from my knowledge of the people, knowing the people that founded StemTech. And so the first generation of their product contained only blue-green algae from Klamath Lake. And they were seeing, good results with people uh, feeling better, having more energy. I have to be careful with talking about disease, but just, slowing down that aging process. And at the time, they were also using it on pets, on animals. And, animals don't lie. They show how they feel in their activities. And so good success with animals as well. And so they started looking for other ingredients and added fucoidan, added aloe macrolata, which is a plant that they found in Madagascar. I think that's at the time it was the only known place it grew. So they've gone throughout the globe and found other ingredients that enhance the release of stem cells. And so currently, after this is 2023, 18 years of having products on the market, we are in the third generation of stem release, and it doesn't even include blue-green algae from Klamath Lake anymore because they found other ingredients that are more effective. So initially, there was an increase of about 25% of stem cell population flowing through your blood. Our current product releases over 50% more stem cells. So we've had an increase in the release and how long the release lasts, which is 8 to 12 hours when you take these supplements. And then along the way, we've added a couple more supplements that assist in the whole stem cell rejuvenation process. One's called StemFlow, and it's a product that helps clean out your circulatory system, helps your blood flow, your cells flow, all your nutrients flow better down into the capillaries. And then we released a product called MigraStem, which has ingredients that help the stem cells migrate into the tissues and do what stem cells do the division, the conversion into other cells, and the multiplication for healing. So we have a trio of samples. We call it RCM, release, circulate, migrate, that each has its own individual purpose. And then when you take all three together, which we encourage, it creates a synergistic process that makes it all work better.
Thank you for that, Barry. And I really appreciated knowing the science behind these products. I, like many people, want to, for my own just sense of that what I'm taking is real, wanted to know the science behind the products. So just having that background information and access to those articles and research really helped me feel good about the product. In addition to actually taking the product and seeing the results and how they worked for me when I was trying to recover from tissue tears to just heal and perform better for my marathon. So thank you. And so Barry, what else can you share with us that are some of the most pressing questions that you get when you introduce people to this stem cell nutrition?
That's a good question. Everybody's different. Some people are aware of stem cells and what they do and the stem cell therapy. They haven't heard about stem cell nutrition, or the fact that just nutrition in certain foods in general can help increase your stem cells. So it's an educational process. A lot of people ask, will it cure this? Will it help me with that? And we have to be very, very careful to protect the company and ourselves. I get a lot of questions. We have a lot of people, I mean, thousands of people have been taking these products for many years, and they wouldn't do it if they didn't have success with it. So I do my best to connect them to people that have had success with whatever they're questioning. And we don't make promises that it's going to heal anything. But let me share a couple stories that I have, though, that can ask that kind of answer that question. One is my own experience. I was introduced to StemTech when a friend of mine that had been in the nutritional business for his entire career, more on the corporate side, joined StemTech and invited me to find out about what he was doing. At the time, I knew nothing about stem cells. And and just coincidentally, I had a torn rotator cuff. I had severed tendons in my left shoulder. It was going to require surgery, and the surgery had been scheduled for a few weeks out. I asked him if it might help my surgery recover faster, and he said, "Well, I don't know. Get on the supplements and see what happens." And so 2 or 3 weeks before the surgery, I started on the stem release. It was the only product we had then, just the stem release. And so I was taking them every day. And when I went in for my surgery, of course, the doctor always gives you, he sets you up for your recovery, your healing process. And he said, you're going to be, in pain, and it's probably going to be about 8 weeks of healing before you'll be released for physical therapy. And then you'll probably need about 4 months of physical therapy. So we have the surgery. I go in a few days later. He looks at it. He says, "You're healing pretty well. Come in a week." Went back in that week, and he says, "You are really healing fast. Come back in another week for a checkup." So I went back in. So now we're at 2.5 weeks after the surgery. And he said, "You have healed the fastest I've ever seen anybody." He says, "I'm going to release you for physical therapy." So 3 weeks instead of 8, I'm in physical therapy. And I was 60 at the time. I was 60 at the time, and I was in good health. I was far from an athlete. And all of his, I shouldn't say all, most of his clients, his patients, were athletes. He was in San Diego. He dealt with high school athletes, collegiate athletes, Olympic athletes, professional athletes on the Chargers and Padres teams. And so he'd done a lot of these types of surgeries and had a lot of background. So I start physical therapy. The physical therapist, said, like, "When did you have the surgery?" I said, 3 weeks ago. He said, "This is unbelievable." He says, "I don't know where to start you." So we started. Long story short, I was in physical therapy for 9 weeks instead of 16, and my healing occurred, about twice as fast as he projected. And he said, "Barry, you've healed faster than any of my patients ever had, regardless of their age." And the only thing I was doing different was increasing my stem cells with StemTech products. And I doubled up. I may have even tripled up the dosage during that healing period, and then I backed off again. A couple other things I noticed early on was I had some floaters in my eyes. See these things that kind of, you see this like a shadow go across your eyes. After about 3 or 4 weeks, I noticed those had gone away. I haven't had those since. And I was having stiffness in my hands and knees in the morning. And after a couple months, that resolved, and I haven't had that. So I think the products and having more stem cells in your body really can do a lot for rejuvenation. And I think it's slowed down my aging process. I have the energy. I don't feel much different than I did 20 years ago, honestly.
That's amazing. So, Barry, I find you fascinating for so many other reasons, and we won't have time to delve in it today, but I do want to ask you about just a little snippet of information about you and your brain health specialization with the Dr. Amen clinics. And that
Dr.
is definitely a topic I would love to invite you back again to discuss in further detail, but tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So I've, I'm interested in overall wellness, and I have two daughters. I have a grandson. He was 13 on Saturday, and it's my desire, to be around for them and to have a full life. And I'm going to be 72 in a few weeks. And
Look great.
thank you. And I'm seeing my peers slow down and not enjoy life as much because they don't have the health as good as they could. And so I'm doing everything, and learning about how important gut health is and how it's related to brain health. They're calling our gut the second brain. And so I met Dr. Amen's wife, who is a nurse and works with him, at an event in San Diego a few years ago, and found out about what he did and became interested in what he was doing to enhance our brain performance. And he's a psychiatrist, was in Vietnam, in the Army as a doctor, and started his own practice. And through these brain scans that he does, realized that his patients that were alcoholics or drug addicts, that their brains in these scans looked very, very much like, actually, I should reverse that, but the brain scans of people that had been on pharmaceuticals for many years looked like the brain scans of an alcoholic or a drug addict. And so he said, we're supposed to be healing people. What are we doing here? So he started looking into natural remedies, natural ways to heal your brain from whatever disorder, brain trauma from an injury, the depression, ADHD, other brain maladies, and has evolved his practice into not using pharmaceuticals to treat the brain. And because of what happened with Linda and the doctors who treated her for her lupus and the liver disease and kidney disease that she had, were very upfront in saying, it's the pharmaceuticals that caused her organs to fail, not the lupus itself. Her lupus symptoms presented in rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia. And so I became very anti-pharmaceutical. So when I heard of Dr. Amen treating the brain without pharmaceuticals, that was really great. I saw my mom suffer from depression and go through, different types of drugs and how that affected her. So I just became very intrigued with him. And so 3 years ago, he came out with a program with he and Joseph McClendon III, who is a neuropsychologist, put together a program called Brain Revolution. And they made the analogy that the brain is like a computer. There's hardware and there's software. And he works with the hardware, the physiology to make it better. And Dr. McClendon works with the software part of it, the neurology. And their premise is, unless both are functioning properly, your brain and your body is not going to be at optimum performance. And so I found out about this class, and I'm seeing my friends starting to get a little forgetful. I'm having older friends and my parents' peers, getting memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's. And hearing Dr. Amen say, memory loss should not be a chronic disease that we have in our country, where 50% of the people over 80 have some form of memory loss. He said it should be a rare disease that only 5% of the people get, and it's all caused by our lifestyle. And that was just so congruent with what I was doing with helping people clean up their diet and eat better and exercise more and get better sleep to improve their health. So I took the class and got certified as they call it brain health trainer with Amen Clinics, and now I incorporate what I learned there into what I do to help people improve their overall wellness. And really, we think about taking care of our overall health. We get our eyes checked, we go to the dentist, we have a physical every year, but it never includes the brain. You get your heart checked, you may have a chest x-ray, blood samples, urine samples, but they don't do anything about the brain. And what's interesting is all the things we know that improve our health from a general standpoint, when you take it to the next level and do what's required to take the brain to the vet to its optimum health, then all your other health issues just start to fall into place. It's amazing. Our bodies can really heal themselves when we treat them the right way.
Thank you so much, Barry, for that. You and I share the common passion of all things health, which is why I'm excited to have this platform. And I so agree with you. And I have heard some individuals that do speak about brain health, trying to shift how we think about mental health as brain health. And again, we don't have time for that today, but I definitely would love to invite you back to delve more into that topic. And I have one other question for you as we try to wrap up. So this is a health and wellness channel with the goal of helping our listeners make mind shifts and habit changes to value their health as their greatest wealth. Hence the name of this platform, Your Health is Your Greatest Wealth. With that in mind, I would like to gift our listeners with a framework to help them improve their health. What one strategy, tool, or piece of advice can you offer our listeners to help them improve their own health?
Can I have two?
Absolutely. For you, Barry, you get two.
I think absolutely the first one is mindset. To have the mindset and the faith that you can be healthy, that you can do this. I believe there's no silver bullet. There's no pill. I mean, our StemTech products are great. They aren't a silver bullet. When you have to, eat right, exercise, drink plenty of water, and the mindset goes behind that. I think so many people, I'm a boomer, especially my generation and older people, assume that as you get old, you're going to age. I draw a distinction between getting old is chronological age is what happens to your body based on how you treat it. If you have a mindset that you're going to get sick when you get old. Oh, my dad had a heart attack, so I'm going to die of a heart attack. Everybody in my family's had some form of cancer, so I'm going to get cancer. Genetics is important, but it's not the most important thing. Our lifestyle, I believe, is the most important thing. And that requires the mindset of making the changes it takes to be healthier. And then the second one, which is, when I'm asked what's the most important thing I can do to improve my health, a lot of people think diet, exercise, drinking water. No, and I learned this from Dr. Amen. I think it's sleep. Sleep is the single most important thing that we can do to let our body heal, let it rest, let it rejuvenate. Human growth hormone is generated in our body while we're sleeping. And one thing that came out of Dr. Amen is just getting enough sleep, but also the time of our sleep. 5 times the human growth hormone, which is essential for our body's rejuvenation and slowing down the aging process, is generated when you get 7 hours of sleep between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. versus going to bed at midnight and waking up at 9, getting 9 hours of sleep. So the timing of the sleep, the quality of the sleep, and we can talk more about that later, but sleep hygiene, like staying off your devices for an hour or so before you go to bed and other things. So The number one thing is mindset. The second one is sleep.
Thank you, Barry. Barry, I could keep you on all day, but I know this has to come to a natural end. I also just wanted to bring up again your 13 Steps to Riches, your collaborative book for our listeners and our audience. Will you please share the cover?
So here we go. This is volume 1, and actually in my introduction, Blanca mentioned 9. I didn't update her. We now have 11 of the books out. We released our last one on last Friday. So we're up to 11, and that one was on the subconscious mind. And so this book series is based on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich book that was written 100 years ago, and I think it was published in 1937. And I'm one of over 30 contributing authors, and each one of the volumes is a separate chapter from Napoleon's book. So the first one is on desire, faith, subconscious mind. Our next volume, which is coming out in a few weeks, is on the brain. And then we have one more to wrap it up, and we'll be done. So this has been a 2-year adventure on working with a group of amazing entrepreneurs, sharing their wisdom, their nuggets of what Napoleon Hill said, when he wrote his book, Think and Grow Rich. So, yes.
Thank you, Barry. And with that, please share with our audience where they can get a copy of this book, and then we will conclude our little chat.
Okay, you can get it on Amazon. You can go to www.the13stepstoriches.com, and you'll find most of our volumes there. For certain, you'll find volume 11 available. And Blanca, maybe you could put the link in the
Absolutely.
in the YouTube. I've got another direct link that for part of our release, I don't know how long it's going to be available, but you can get a free Kindle copy, and it'll help us reach bestseller. Oh, and every single one of these books out so far has reached Amazon bestseller in several self-improvement and wellness categories. So thanks, Blanca. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Barry. I'll definitely provide the link for that, as well as StemTech's RCM. Is there anything else you'd like to say today?
No, I've enjoyed this. This has been amazing. I love what you're doing as far as getting out the word of health and wellness, and how we can take better care of ourselves to the community. And I look forward to being on again and sharing some more about what we're doing.
Thank you, Barry. I as well. And thank you so much to all of our listeners who came here today. And we will see you on our next educational session. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And I have a big ask for you today. If you like today's episode of Your Health is Your Greatest Wealth, please please subscribe, please share the link with others so they too can watch. And I would love to continue to bring you content that is rich with information on all things health. So please come and join and subscribe. Thank you.